All right, let's dive in. Today, we're tackling something super important: health and physical education in Australian primary schools. You know, that whole HPE thing.
HP.
Is it thriving? Is it struggling? We're going to find out.
We've got some great sources to dig into.
Oh, yeah, we do. We've got this recent study from the International Journal of Educational Research, some reports, policy documents, even some historical stuff.
We're going way back.
We're going to paint the full picture here.
Love it.
Okay, so get this. Australia is one of the few countries in the world that combines health and PE into one curriculum.
That's pretty unique. How's that working out down under?
Yeah, that's what we want to know. Are teachers up for the challenge? Do they have what they need? Are the kids actually benefiting? Big questions.
Let's get some answers.
Buckle up. Okay, so to really understand where we are now, we got to go back in time a bit.
A little time travel.
Back to 1992.
Ooh, 1992.
Right? That was like, what? Grunge music?
Yep.
And a Senate inquiry that basically declared a full-blown crisis in Aussie HPE.
Whoa, a crisis.
A crisis. This wasn't just about kids not getting enough playground time, though that was part of it.
Right.
The inquiry found some serious issues with teacher qualifications, resources, like schools just weren't equipped to support strong HPE programs.
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
If you think about it, if we really value something, we invest in it, right?
Exactly.
But back then, the investment just wasn't there.
So question is, did things change? Fast forward to 2014, the Active Healthy Kids Australia report card, they actually gave an incomplete grade to the category physical education and physical activity participation in schools. An incomplete. How is that even possible?
It's like going to the doctor and they say, sorry, we can't diagnose you. We haven't run any tests.
That's a little unsettling.
Very unsettling.
It's a big red flag.
Mhm.
But hold on, because there's this later review of the Australian curriculum that found strong support for HPE.
So which is it?
Right. Is it all talk and no action? People love the idea of HPE, but are they actually putting their money where their mouth is?
It's a good question. And that leads us to a 2015 study in the International Journal of Educational Research. This study surveyed primary school principals across Victoria.
Victoria, okay.
Yeah, one of Australia's states.
Got it.
And their perspectives are really valuable because they're the ones actually making decisions about how HPE gets rolled out in their schools.
Okay, so what did these principals have to say? Are they still dealing with those same issues from way back in '92?
Well, one thing that stood out was that they overwhelmingly wanted specialist HPE teachers.
Specialist, okay.
Not just someone who can coach a sport, but real educators who get child development, and can create engaging learning experiences.
Yeah, we're talking about primary school here, so that's little kids. I mean, these teachers need to be able to teach a 5-year-old about healthy eating 1 minute and then referee a game of soccer the next.
Exactly. They need a really diverse skill set, and the principals were really emphasizing the importance of what we call developmentally appropriate pedagogy.
Big words.
Yeah, but it basically means tailoring teaching methods to how kids learn at different stages.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't teach a 5-year-old the same way you'd teach a 10-year-old, right?
Right, makes sense.
So the principals recognize that, and we're looking for teachers who could do that.
So not just like jocks, but actual skilled educators who are passionate about this stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Did they mention anything else about the kind of teacher they were looking for?
They really wanted teachers who are passionate about the whole child, like the whole well-being of the child, not just their physical skills. Fostering healthy habits, building resilience, creating a positive learning environment.
Makes sense.
There was even one principal who said, quote, "We need people with classroom and pedagogical skills, not just jocks."
I love that.
Right, they got it.
So it sounds like, at least on the attitude front, things have shifted since that '92 crisis. They recognize the need for good HPE teachers.
Definitely.
But what about the actual support, the resources, the funding for these teachers? Does the study touch on that at all?
Yes, it did. And this is where the picture gets a little bit, less rosy.
Oh, no.
Funding and teacher training were still major barriers, especially for smaller schools, especially rural schools.
Yeah, it's like we took a step forward in realizing HPE is important, but we haven't quite figured out how to actually, make it a reality for all students.
Right, and that creates inequality.
A postcode lottery.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Okay, so we've gone from a national crisis to, more complicated picture. Some progress, definitely, but some big hurdles still to overcome.
It's complex, but you know what's encouraging?
What's that?
The principals are so passionate about this. It gives me hope that at the school level, there's a real commitment to making HPE a priority.
I like that. So where do we go from here? What happened to those curriculum changes that came out of that 92 inquiry? Did any of that stick?
That's a great question. And that takes us to another really interesting part of Australian HPE.
Yeah.
The shift from focusing mainly on, just physical education to this broader idea of health and physical education.
Ooh, okay. What's that all about?
It's a much more holistic approach to well-being.
More than just dodging balls and running laps.
Way more. We're talking about health, literacy, mental health, social emotional learning, the whole package.
So it's about giving kids the tools they need to make healthy choices throughout their whole lives.
Exactly. It's not just about what happens in the gym or on the playground anymore.
Wow, that is a pretty big shift. Sounds like Australian HPE has come a long way since we started this deep dive.
It really has, and we've only just scratched the surface.
So we've talked about this shift, this idea of combining health and PE into one curriculum.
This whole child approach.
Yeah, sounds great in theory, but does it actually work? Like, in real life?
Well, like anything, there are pros and cons.
Okay, pros and cons. Lay it on me.
On the one hand, you've got this amazing opportunity to connect everything. It's not just health or PE, it's all interconnected. Physical activity, nutrition, mental well-being, it's all part of the same big picture.
So it's not just like, here's a lesson about the digestive system, and here's a lesson about exercise. It's all woven together.
Right. Imagine a lesson where kids are learning about, say, hydration.
Staying hydrated?
Yeah. But instead of just talking about it, they actually do an experiment.
Ooh, I like experiments.
They measure how much they sweat when they exercise. And then they calculate how much fluid they need to drink to replenish, to rehydrate.
That's way more engaging than just reading about it in a textbook.
Exactly. And it makes it relevant to their own lives.
But wouldn't this kind of approach, this combined curriculum thing, wouldn't that put a lot of pressure on teachers?
It can, yeah.
Especially with all the challenges we already talked about, like the training and the resources.
And that's where those specialist HPE teachers become even more important.
Because now they have to be experts in both health and PE.
Right. It's a big ask.
It's like asking a chef to suddenly become a master baker, too. It's a
Yeah.
whole other skill set. And what about time? How do you fit all of this into the school day?
Time is always an issue, isn't it?
Always.
But I think it comes down to priorities.
Okay, priorities.
What do we really value? And the fact that Australia has chosen to combine health and PE into one curriculum tells me they see it as a pretty high priority.
Makes sense. It's like that saying, there's never enough time to do all the things we want to do, but there's always enough time to do the things that matter most.
Exactly.
Okay, so back to this combined curriculum. You mentioned it's a more holistic approach, but can you give me some concrete examples of what that actually looks like in the classroom?
Sure. Imagine a lesson on stress management.
Okay, stress management, yeah. Kids need that these days.
Right. So instead of just lecturing about deep breathing, the kids actually get to do it. They practice yoga or mindfulness techniques.
Ooh, mindfulness, that's popular.
It is. Or imagine a lesson about healthy eating. But instead of just looking at food
A
pyramids,
food pyramid, I remember that.
they actually plan and prepare a healthy meal together.
So they're learning by doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not just theoretical knowledge, it's practical skills they can use right now.
Okay, I'm convinced. As long as they have those awesome, well-trained teachers, the combined approach seems like a good thing.
I think so too.
So what else is happening in Australian HPE? Anything new and exciting?
Well, one trend that's really caught my eye is the increasing focus on outdoor learning.
Getting kids out of the classroom into nature.
Yes, fresh air, sunshine.
Love it.
There's this growing recognition that spending time in nature is good for kids.
Good for the body, good for the mind.
Exactly. And some schools are taking it a step further with adventure education.
Adventure education, that sounds intense.
It can be, but it's also super fun. Think about things like building rafts, climbing rock walls, navigating through the bush.
Oh, wow.
It's about pushing boundaries, building confidence.
And fostering a love for the outdoors. I like that.
And it's a great complement to the more traditional HPE stuff.
Okay, so we've got nature, we've got adventure. What about technology?
Ah, technology.
Kids are spending so much time on screens these days,
It's true.
How do we incorporate technology into HPE without, completely undermining the whole point?
It's a balancing act, for sure. And I don't think it's about banning technology altogether. It's about using it strategically.
Okay, strategically.
Think about fitness trackers, interactive apps.
Gamifying fitness.
Yeah. You can use these tools
Yeah.
to motivate kids, track their progress.
It's like having a virtual PE teacher in your pocket.
Right. And you can also use technology to personalize learning,
Mm.
you know, cater to different needs, different interests.
Okay, that makes sense. Embrace the tech, but use it wisely. What other trends are we seeing?
Well, there's also a growing emphasis on mental health and well-being.
Which is huge these days, so that's great to hear.
It is. And schools are starting to incorporate things like mindfulness practices, stress management techniques, social emotional learning. It's about giving kids the tools they need to deal with all the ups and downs of life, not just how to shoot a basketball.
I love that. It's like HPE is becoming a holistic life skills program, not just a subject about physical activity.
And I think that's what's so exciting about the future of HPE. It's
Great.
breaking down those traditional silos,
The silos.
recognizing that our physical health, our mental health, our social well-being, it's all connected.
Totally agree. Okay, so feeling really optimistic about all of this, but we can't forget about those challenges we talked about earlier. Teacher training, equity of access, all that stuff. Are those issues being addressed?
They are. Progress is definitely being made. Teacher training is a big focus, and there's a lot of work being done to make sure HPE teachers have the support they need.
Ongoing training, professional development, all that.
Exactly. And as for the equity issue, that postcode lottery we talked about,
Yeah.
there are initiatives in place to try to close that gap.
So targeted funding, maybe mentoring programs, sharing resources, that kind of thing.
Exactly. It's going to take a village,
Mhm.
a collective effort from everyone.
Governments, schools, communities, everyone working together.
Exactly. But I do think there's a growing recognition that HPE is an important investment.
An investment in the future, really.
That's right.
Okay, so we've talked to researchers, we've talked to principals, but there's one group we haven't heard from yet.
The kids themselves.
Right. I mean, they're the ones who are actually experiencing HPE every day. What do they think about all this?
That's what we need to find out.
All right, it's time to hear from the real experts, the kids.
Right. We can talk about all the research and the policies we want, but at the end of the day, it's the kids' experiences that matter most.
So what are they saying? Are they happy with how HPE is being taught?
Well, thankfully, there's been a big push to actually include student voice in HPE.
Like actually asking them what they think.
Exactly. We're finally moving away from adults making assumptions about what's best for kids and actually, listening to them.
It's about time. So what are they saying?
It's really interesting. When you ask kids about HPE, they don't just talk about sports and games.
Okay, so what do they talk about?
They're concerned about things like mental health,
Mm-hmm.
body image, healthy relationships.
Stuff that's really relevant to their lives.
Exactly. It's like they're saying, hey, we need more than just footy skills to survive in this world.
Right. So how is HPE adapting to meet those needs?
Well, one thing that comes up a lot is choice.
Choice. Okay.
Kids want more say in what they learn and how they learn it.
So instead of just being told, okay, today we're playing basketball, they might get to choose between different activities
Yeah.
or even suggest activities.
Exactly. They're tired of being told what to do all the time.
Makes sense.
It's like that old saying, tell me and I forget, teach me and I may remember, involve me and I learn.
And when it comes to HPE, that involvement could mean letting kids choose the sports they want to play, design their own fitness challenges.
All right, give them some ownership.
Exactly. What else are we hearing from the kids?
Another big one is mental health. They want a safe and supportive space to talk about their feelings, learn some coping mechanisms.
It seems like mental health is such a big focus these days for everyone, not just kids.
It is. And schools have a big role to play in creating that safe space.
So it's not just about, physical activity. It's about creating an environment where kids feel supported, heard.
Exactly. And this is where HPE can be really powerful, It's not just gym class anymore. It's about developing emotional intelligence, resilience, all of that.
Okay, any other insights from the kids?
This one might surprise you. They're really interested in learning about things like nutrition, sleep, even mindfulness.
Wow, mini health gurus.
Right. I think they're being bombarded with all this information online, and they want to figure out what's actually true, what's helpful.
And that's where HPE can step in and teach them, critical thinking skills.
Exactly.
So it's not just about teaching them facts, it's about teaching them how to evaluate information, how to make good choices for themselves.
Right. And one last thing. Kids are saying they want more opportunities to be leaders, advocates. Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
They don't just want to learn about health, they want to promote it.
Get involved, make a difference.
Exactly.
Wow. It sounds like the future of HPE is all about Collaboration, student voice, this holistic approach to well-being.
I think you nailed it. It's about going beyond those old school ideas of PE and embracing a much bigger vision of what it means to be healthy and happy.
I love it. I'm feeling really inspired by all this. It's clear that there are challenges, but there's also so much good stuff happening.
So much potential.
So much potential. All right, well, we've explored the past, the present, and the future of HPE in Australian primary schools. And now it's your turn, listener. What will you do with this information? Will you just sit back and observe, or will you get involved?
Will you help shape the future of HPE in your community?
The choice is yours. We've given you the knowledge. Now go out there and make a difference.
Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive. We'll see you next time.